Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second peer learning webinar. My pleasure is that today we are going to hear interesting thing about open science and IPR from our partners from Bosnia and Herzegovina, University of Banja Luka, and University of Sarajevo. And I think we will start with Angela first, and then Maya, and then we will have some time for the reflections from the partners. So, Angela, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks a lot, Sonia. So let me try to share the presentation. Hopefully it will work out. Okay, so do you see the full screen mode now? Can someone confirm? Good, thanks, Elke. Okay, so let's move right away to the content. So the whole idea is to present the achievements of our open science and IPR related capacity building activities at the University of Banja Luka. Hopefully you see the slides changing. Okay, so what I will share today is basically a little bit of a background, because these activities are not standalone activities. They do happen in one way or another in some context, and some prior activities that we had. Then I will share the why and the how of the capacity building activities that we had through the policy answers. And then also what were the main achievements, and also what were the, let's say, key lessons learned and challenges, and what did we do afterwards? So how did we continue after these initial activities? So speaking of the background, I have to say that the University of Banja Luka already had some prior activities that were focusing on open science and intellectual property rights on different, let's say, levels and scales. So on a university level, we already had developed rule books that were focusing on one hand on the protection of IP rights, both in terms of the research activities, but also giving the floor to the student research activities as well, and also on the things like how to commercialize the results and so on, and what happens afterwards, and who keeps what kind of rights. And we also had some rule books that were tackling parts of the, well, at least the open access part of the open science policies, including also the development and using of the repositories for the master and PhD thesis, and also some strategic level activities like strategy and policy of the both of the university, but also of the office of the vice rector for science and development at the university, that were in a way tackling these two crucial issues for the university. We are also a member of Open Air and also EOSC, which happened through different prior projects that are listed also here. But also on the level of the university, we do have the Center for Development and Research Support, where we basically support researchers through providing them education, different modules on IPR-related issues. But we also organized, and this is relevant also for our activity through the policy answers, a study visit to STEPRI in Rijeka, focusing on IPR issues and commercialization of results. And we also supported the development of the rule book that I mentioned earlier, through different locally funded and these activities we supported through different locally funded projects, but also EU for Tech activities. And we are also supporting the participation of the university in open open science or open data repository, the data archive for social sciences in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is one of a kind in the country. And we also supported the development and initiated the development of a repository of publications called SOVA, which is actually the owl that you see on the screen. Also, other prior activities which kind of led us to this policy answers capacity building were conducted through FP7 and then Horizon 2020 projects like VSEAM that focused on open science and research infrastructure and development of a cultural heritage repository, and then the education or training and raising awareness activities and participation in EOSC through NIFOS Europe project. And finally, through the WBCR RINET project, we also, supported the university to upgrade the open access repositories, to have, a single stop point for accessing to different publications, including the thesis, and also development of an e-library system, which is still ongoing and it's not released in service yet. So these are the activities that we had. However, what we discovered through all these activities that there is still a lack of awareness and knowledge among a lot of researchers across the university on what
I sent you the agenda.
Yes, sorry. Do you see the screen?
I think someone haven't been muted.
Okay, good. Okay, so what we understood is that there is still a lack of awareness and knowledge on open science in general, so the whole of the concept, despite all the activities, despite all the, different events that we had. And this is largely due also to, changes in the, staff structure and also the access of newcomers, younger staff to the information. So what we kind of try to understand is whether we should now, given that also the Horizon Europe is focusing a lot on open science and we do promote participation in Horizon Europe, is whether we should focus and pay attention more to the open science on understanding the basic principles, or should we focus on the IPR and commercialization of results issues? Because there is a division among researchers, both in understanding of both and as well in actually what do they want to use, whether they want to keep the results in order to commercialize them or whether they want to open it up to the public. And then there is this discrepancy in understanding how to decide and how to choose which one of the models to use. So in addition to that, the university itself is kind of advocating and promoting better academia-industry linkages, which is, of course, very much welcomed at the university. So there is still this question on how to do it also, and at the same time respect the open science principles and then also the IPR-related issues. So this is the why. Now we come to how we kind of address this issue. We actually thought that it would be wise to kind of open the debate through a panel discussion, but also to provide a practical training, so hands-on training for researchers on these, these topics. So it was organized as a single event, which lasted for 2 days in I think it was October or November, so I didn't write it out, so it doesn't matter. It was in autumn last year, but you have the links here as well, so you can access them and the videos. So what we did is basically we first started with a panel discussion because we wanted to kind of invite people who are dealing with open science, but also who are dealing with, commercialization of research results to discuss and also to kind of open up a little bit more this topic of where is this thin line and when do we cross this thin line between open science and the protection of something that can be marketable, and how to actually understand what are the benefits of choosing one or the other, and still being in this, let's say, in this open science mode. So we had a quite successful panel discussion that was moderated by a colleague from the Regional Cooperation Council, Siniša Marčić, which whom you probably all know, and also by colleagues from the University of Banja Luka, Professor Ristojević, who is from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and was highly involved in the open science and open access activities at the university, including through VSIM and NIFOS project. Then Biljana Kosanović from the University of Belgrade and their computer center, who is quite active in both policy-making processes, but also in the actually hands-on support for open science in Serbia, and Neven Tamarut from the STEP3. And this is why I mentioned that it was important for us to have that we had this prior visit to STEP3, and there we met Neven and understood what they are doing and so on. So we kind of, let's say, revisited that connection when we invited him for the panel discussion. So it got let's say, quite an attention at the university among researchers and students as well. And then we had separate training sessions, so people could choose which ones to follow. Some people followed all, some didn't. Some chose one or the other. So first one was kind of getting this story in a more concrete terms, like licensing versus public sharing of scientific discoveries. That was provided by our colleague from Rijeka. And it's also recorded, but it's in local language, so Croatian / Serbian / Bosnian, whatever you prefer to call it. So it can be understood by most of the colleagues from the region, let's say. And then the commercialization of intellectual property was the second one, and this one was not recorded, as this was the requirement by the training provider, because he actually gave some, well, he wanted to protect his IP rights on the content of the training. And then we had the third one focusing more on open data and open research results, which was provided by colleagues from Belgrade, so Biljana Kosanović from the University of Belgrade and Milica Ševkušić from the Institute of Technical Sciences of the Serbian Academy of Sciences and Arts. And what we kind of did, we tried to combine our efforts with another project that we had. It's a Horizon Europe project as well at the University of Banja Luka called Beaming. That's a short one. The acronym of the project, where we kind of combined the organization through these two projects, kind of supporting the activities of one and another. And so what are the main achievements? First, the event itself, for us, it's quite an achievement, given that it gathered 39 students, professors, teaching assistants, and administration, and colleagues from administration of the university, from different fields, from social sciences and humanities to mechanical engineering. So it was a quite diverse audience, and the discussion was quite fruitful, especially in terms of how to understand this thin line and how to cross the barriers from opening up or closing the research results, and so on. The evaluation of the event was quite positive. So all 4 sections of the event got really high grades, and I think everything is more or less available, at least for our for the Policy Answers team on on the cloud. And the produced outputs that we try to provide as public as possible, except for this second training provided by Bojan Čudić from Onyx Digital Innovation Hub, were presentations that were shared by the trainers, and also video recordings. So the links are available in this presentation, so you can watch them later on. I think it could be useful also for the colleagues in the region to revisit them and also listen on different aspects of both of the topics. So the follow-up and the lesson, well, first the lessons learned and then the follow-up. So the lessons learned is actually, if we want something to be a successful activity or an event or whatever, we understood that it's really good to rely on the existing network of experts that we already had. So this is why I mentioned the step 3 study visit. So using always something that we had prior and where we established connections which were good for a particular activity, to use it then for this particular activity, like the connection with the colleagues from STEPRI or the connections from previous projects like NIFOS Europe, WBCR INET, and so on and so forth. The second thing is that taking care of the content is quite important, because sometimes we tend to close ourselves in our ivory towers, thinking that, oh, I know this is the good topic to cover, and then you don't have enough audience. So what we did is basically we kind of listened through different activities that we had. So all this background that I mentioned, we listened to what is still missing and what is still unclear to many of the researchers, and this is why we provided this tailor-made content. So something that was really necessary for them and actually targeting their needs, not targeting our vision of what should the event be about. And also what we would kind of say it's a success factor is to basically, whenever possible, act in synergy with other initiatives and projects. But I think that most of you already do that and know that. So I didn't invent the wheel, I just repeated it. What made our event and our capacity building successful. What could have been done better? Perhaps it could have been organized in a more time-wise loose sense, that it's not sticking to 2 days that are fixed, and then we might have had more people on different training activities, but it's a trade-off whether you want to keep it tight in order to have this, let's say, line of action logically, or whether you want to spread it over the more days. But I think that this could be something that could be repeated, let's say, in 2 years' time, when there are also advances on other fronts in open science and also on IPR issues. And what's next? So we didn't stop there, and this is something that we are doing right now through the capacity building component of Policy Answers, is we are focusing on actually now providing more, let's say, support to open science through work with the libraries or librarians at the university, where we first engaged in the fact-finding and needs assessment study, visit to the university by the expert, and then this expert will provide a written analysis of the current state and needs with recommendations for an action plan on how to improve our library services for the open science. And then we will have both the presentation of the results of the study and then a training for all librarian staff at the university. So we try to target this issue of open science then from the perspective of research support services that we have at the university. So I will stop here and maybe then let Maya share after me.
Thank you, Angela. maybe I would have one question.
Mhm.
What about maybe you mentioned also the structure of the audience, but maybe I missed that. Especially, I'm wondering about the business sector and SMEs. Did you target them, and what
No.
was no?
No, the whole focus was basically on researchers and students so that they understand from their perspective on how to distinguish and how to then approach the IPR issues, but also towards the open science. Because in order to communicate further with the industry, they need to understand the differences and they need to understand when to engage into, let's say, communication with their industry partners to kind of commercialize the results or license or do whatever they want with that.
Do you have any, how to say, statistics on from which faculties the audience came? I mean, the students, are there mostly from technical faculties or?
No, actually, there were quite a few from the social sciences and humanities, and there were a couple of students from the Faculty of Technology and I think, Faculty of Mechanical Engineering. I mean, I don't know by heart,
Hmm.
so it's just by way of remembering because I don't have the access to my documents on this computer. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay, maybe I will have more questions, but now first Maya, because I know that the baby is sleeping at the moment, so we should use this time for
Thank
Maya to give a
you.
presentation.
Thank you, Sanya, and thank you everybody for joining in. Yes, in case you hear strange noises, it's a 4-month baby, but she's safe now, I think, and we will be okay. So I decided to take on sharing this workshop since we selected our activity related to IPR and open science, and I was basically the one who is most involved in this activity from our team. And Angela and I agreed about the structure. So basically, the structure will be mostly the same as you've heard from University of Banja Luka. So why? What triggered us doing this? And, what were the prior activities that led us to defining this capacity building under policy answers? Then how we did it, what was done, what were the main achievements, and what do we do now? So, in general, when it comes to University of Sarajevo, as you might know, we have a developed support structure to the science and research through the Central Research Support Office and Center for Research and Development. These are two distinct units. They are under the Vice Rector for Science, and they are tackling all activities related to science and innovation, with Center for Research and Development more being focused on innovation and developmental activities, whereas Research Support Office more being focused on scientific activities. So prior to policy answers, there have been several activities which I might call more of like setting up the basis through the documents, policies, and rule books. So you see that we have adopted the IPR policy in 2019, where when you have a policy, this is like the prerequisite or the introduction to the more serious stuff, to the rule books and procedures, which also happened with us. And we have actually introduced the rule book on intellectual property management at University of Sarajevo in May 2022, whereas our project started in April. So it kind of coincide. On the other hand, we have a separate unit under the rectorate, which is called University of Sarajevo Library, which didn't exist 4 years ago, and which has an attempt to gather all the libraries of our units, and we have 31 units, meaning faculties and institutes. And this library actually deals mostly with open access in terms of university repositories, e-repositories, registries, and activities, and we collaborate closely. I wanted to share with you. I'm not sure whether you will see it. Actually, I only shared the presentation, so I will now stop uh, uh, this is not tightly related to our topic, but it's something that we are heavily proud of because it's finally happening and we waited for it for so long. And this is actually that University of Sarajevo Library is at the moment being built and constructed in the very center of Sarajevo. I don't know, do you hear there is this background music?
Yes, yes, we hear you. And we
So the
see the photo.
expected time frame is actually towards the end of the year or you know, towards the beginning of the next year that it is being built and rebuilt, and it will be the central and focal point also of our activities related to the open science, but also at the beginning of the new campus of University of Sarajevo. Then uh, the third aspect, which was related to the open science, but also to the IPR, is our treatment of research infrastructure, where we actually adopted the policy on open access to research infrastructure, which is actually a separate part of open science in 2021. And in terms of the research infrastructure, you might already know that we are involved in two. We are coordinating DARIA, which is actually Infrastructure for Arts and Humanities, and we are part of Resilience, who is on the F3 roadmap based on the Horizon projects, and it's related to religious studies and infrastructure in religious studies. So this is what happened before the project and before the capacity building in terms of this specific unit. So why did we decide to tackle this point? First, because all of these rule books were adopted and meticulously planned and developed, and many working groups actually participated in, and then they need to live their life basically. And the evidence was that there is a lack of awareness and knowledge in the process, same as in University of Banja Luka case. Also, we had low knowledge on IPR processes in general, since patenting is not something that is encouraged in Bosnia and Herzegovina in general. What I've learned from our different seminars is that, for example, Serbia has a great practice where actually patenting by university professors or by university staff is free of charge in the Serbian Institute. So basically, and it's also treated for the promotion, for example, similarly as an article. So some professors are motivated and incentivized to patent more, and some faculties, such as the engineering faculties, this is what I've learned, Sanya might correct me, are having it as a regular activity, dealing with patents. We did so 50 years ago, unfortunately, so in the prior system, and there was strong collaboration with large firms. However, now this kind of disappeared. And what one of the aims of the Center for Research and Development is, in general, is to revive this process, to improve academia-industry linkages, to help our researchers build something relevant for industria, to commercialize results, to try to sell their research, and this is something that somebody who is not in business studies, in management studies, does not know. And furthermore, we have had prolific activities at some members of universities, such as INGEB, this is the Institute for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, which actually by now managed to register 3 patents. And this is a huge success because these are the only 3 patents of University of Sarajevo. And if you look at the landscape, I think that University of Banja Luka has 4 now, and that's it for B&H in terms of the research-based patents. So we were really at a low point, and you know that innovation capacity and capability of the country is assessed. One of the main indicators is number of patents. So it's really relevant, but also we need to use these patents. So how we did it, I will describe this series of events. I selected 3 of them. First one was in March 2023, where we organized a workshop called How to Recognize Scientific Discovery. This was a course open and protective for, of course, open not only to University of Sarajevo. We invited all other universities. We also invited companies. We selected RD offices, which are unfortunately in low numbers in our country in general, but some pharmaceutical companies and some companies which are more tech oriented are having RD offices, and they came. And we also invited several experts. Our experts were from USIM, which is Turkish University Industry Collaboration Centers platform. It's an actually, I would say, a child of TÜBİTAK. Before it was within TÜBİTAK, and you've listened to TÜBİTAK's experts recently. Unfortunately, I couldn't join, but they are now actually only focused on academia industry collaboration, on technology transfer and knowledge transfer. So they're specialized in this aspect and connecting all the centers of knowledge and technology transfers in Turkey. We had 3 experts invited, which with their heavy experience in academia and industry linkages, to present their finding, their knowledge, their kind of suggestions for further. And also we have had an expert from the Institute of Intellectual Property of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So this is the roof institution that we luckily have one institution at the country level that actually treats all of the intellectual property aspects. And we had a hands-on workshop on how to register a patent. It was a separate day, a whole day event. We have records and links. So on one hand, we had a lot of presentations on the context, on the situation, and on suggestions and directions. And on the other hand, we had a hands-on workshop where actually this experts showed us, how to do the research in the context of IPR, how to find, the potential classification on what you can patent and how to proceed for Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also for international application for patents. And I really need to say that all of the experts external were excellent, and we actually had a lot of further collaboration with them. With USIP, we later on agreed on kind of their advisory in our further steps, and institute representative offered their additional helps and services whenever needed, because for them it is also important to enhance this aspect, university patent applications. And yes, it was visited heavily. I don't know the numbers again by heart. We had them in report, but I think around 100 of people were present in different days during this event. Then we actually figured out that this is not enough, because okay, people were primed on how they can do it. They were interested, but again, they did not know the procedure. They did not know what to whom they should talk to if they want to patent something. How it's treated when you have collaborators. How it's treated when you have some innovative activity from a project where you have a partner abroad, but also where you have partner from industry. And then afterwards, we decided to continue with this capacity building and awareness raising activity through the highlighting of World IPR Day in 2024. This was in collaboration with Faculty of Law, because at Faculty of Law we have a professor who is specialized in intellectual property protection. She actually holds a PhD degree from Max Planck Institute in Germany and has a lot of hands-on knowledge, and she participated in development of our rule book. What was important that you have a rule book, but you need also to have the steps on how to do the business according to this rule book. A rule book foresees some offices, some committees, and some roles within it. So basically, we did the presentation of the rule book, presentation of the steps to all the interested parties, and we also invited the faculties to organize public exhibition, which was again open to all parties, so open to society, as I said, so to public, but also to companies. And it was interesting because we had exhibition, for example, from Faculty of Pharmacy and Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, who also exhibited some of their discoveries, but also from the Faculty of Fine Arts and Faculty of and Music Academy, who also exhibited some of their authorship deals. So we had 8 units participating in this exhibition. It was held during this one day, and interested participant could actually walk through the Sarajevo, because we are all over the city, and see what we offer in terms of the innovation potential and research. We registered this on the World IP website. So our event was also followed through the intellectual property community in worldwide, because you have an option to register this kind of event, so it's visible everywhere. And we use their so this is not the policy answer a background, because we had to use their WIPO backgrounds for the event, but it was everywhere supported by policy answers. And finally, this was an idea that again came as trying to enhance capabilities of our researchers. Uh, uh, they simply still are stuck with just the technical or scientific idea at hand, but they don't know how to sell it. So basically, we wanted to improve their selling skills, and also to whom to sell it. There we engaged experts who would talk about market segmentation. So where does your innovation makes a difference? This was the title, and to whom this innovation is being offered. Unfortunately, the situation in B&H is such that we don't have companies who knock on our doors and ask for innovation and contract it with us, but we need to make ourselves available. We are not a go-to place yet, although we were, and also how to present it and how to sell it. It was a 2-day workshop. So what were the main achievements? Definitely increased awareness on IPR procedures and processes. We managed within this IPR Day celebration in 2024 to have the constitutional meeting of our newly elected expert committee, who would evaluate all the applications. Then we actually established ground for assessment of scientific discovery, research that had their ability and possibility to network among each others, because as Angela says, they're in silos, but also with other stakeholders, with company representatives. This led also that we, this September 2024, signed a framework contract on R&D collaboration with one large pharmaceutical company. We have 3 new requests in process for IPR protection, leading to numerous problems and issues with us, but this is another topic. For example, one of them is within a PhD. And she has to present her working version of the dissertation, but she cannot present because it's potentially intellectual property. Interested researchers were also then coordinated towards the EIT Infra Booster activity. We have had 2 rounds and 3 teams, basically, that have been through this education on how to sell your research, on how to actually present the services, R&D services, to the wider community. It's a very valuable project, and it's excellently designed. I know, because I was in the first team. I had to sacrifice myself as well to motivate other researchers from other sciences join in. And it also led to some further cooperation. For example, our Institute for Genetic and Bioengineering, they have been granted by EIT 10,000 euro for their collaboration with companies on genetic editing of fish something. I'm not an expert, so I wouldn't dare go into details. Lessons learned: there's high potential and high interest in this topic, but it is, on the other hand, it's very complex and very difficult, especially if you're a public university. We lack people, we lack staff who is devoted to these processes. We lack good people who are good in legal aspects, And we lack business development persons, so somebody who would negotiate and who would go and sell outside. We currently, our Center for Research and Development is partially myself and three colleagues who are mostly dealing with admin and not with legal aspects of IPR and not with business development. However, we have also generated some interesting next steps. And as you see here, I didn't tell you much about open science because our previous period was mostly devoted to IPR, so kind of different way around as in University of Banja Luka. We were mostly focused on IPR. But what we currently have is the internal strategic project called Open Research Network, which actually combines various activity, such as the research infrastructure, such as the open research network, and it's actually based on our collaboration with the government, who has promised to give us. They promised to give us 1% of our budget yearly over the 5 years for purchase of strategic infrastructure. This means around 10 million euro over 5 years of strategic investment, where we actually have to select which large equipment is needed by multiple members, by multiple faculties. For example, something that might be used by Faculty of Forestry, but also Faculty of Agriculture and also Pharmaceutical Faculty. And there is such equipment, which is actually of large value. And we need to propose the list of our priorities to the cantonal governments, and they will buy it to us. We already did it for this year. We propose around 1.5 million euro in equipment. We still didn't get a final answer from the government, but government in this contract, they actually obliged themselves to provide it to us. So I'm on high hopes, expecting that this will really work. And this is also related to boosting our researchers' capabilities in actually providing innovation. On the other hand, as we speak, actually the Council of Science at the University of Sarajevo is giving their final opinion on the policy of open science, and it will be ready for our Senate next week. So we will hopefully during this month have adopted the policy on open science, which actually now integrates various pillars, also open access, something that library is doing, and digitalization, but also infrastructure and relationship to academy, to industry, and to other stakeholders. And we are planning an open science workshop towards the fall, towards the end of our capacity building activities. So I hope I was interesting with presenting of what we've done.
Yes, thank you very much,
Thank
Maya. It was very inspiring and good to hear about the collaborations that you also achieved with the institutions in Turkey. I remember your presentation from, I think it was last year, when you cooperated with them when they came to Sarajevo, and it raised a great interest in your community. So you mentioned in one of your comments about something about our practice here in Serbia, the patent practice, and I would like to share with you my great experience from last week. I was participating in the conference organized by Serbian Office for Intellectual Property, also European Patent Office, with the support of the Institute for Artificial Intelligence. And it was about IPR in artificial intelligence, which is really very hot topic. And it was interesting for me to hear the presentation from Serbian office, IPR office, who provided some statistics on the applications in this field, particular field. And it was said that the most applications came from only three institutions. One is my institute, Mihajlo Pupin, of course, this engineering part. Then Institute for Artificial Intelligence and Bioscience Institute. As far as I can remember, but I should definitely ask for this great presentation full of data. That's some around 40 applications were submitted in this area, and I think 7 has been approved, if I'm not mistaken. But what for me, what I learned there is that IPR, of course, is very specific for the specific field, and maybe the time comes that we really should organize training per fields about IPR. Not that okay, in general, of course, in some less developed, let's say, area. But I would say that even academicians and researchers are asking for very specific knowledge for specifically their field. And I think that there is in Serbia that because this event was really very well attended by many researchers, that it should be something that probably we would like to do in some potential capacity building program, if any, after this project. So yes, this is what we should really follow the trend, and not, of course, only among researchers, but also industry. And there is a segment in our community, in ecosystem, where researchers and industry goes hand in hand when, especially in spin-off companies within the universities. But sometimes I have a impression, which is not based on data, that companies go even faster than researchers and researching. So they really need updated IPR. And you mentioned the lack of staff, and I would dare to say that some specialists for the protection of, for example, AI solutions is, of course, lacking. So the specialization among the, let's say, lawyers and other professions are a problem, and maybe some regional database of this kind of skills should be created. I would say that this could that the research community, industry community could benefit from that in our Western Balkan region. I don't know, what are your opinion on that?
I agree with you completely. You raised many points, if I may,
Yes.
jump in, but I will leave the floor to others as well. Sorry.
Mhm.
It's definitely very area specific. If you are in biotech or if in pharma, there is this section C something. And if you are in other field, there's another section. So it's really, you need to go in depth. And it's, in my opinion, it's the same amount of effort and work from a researcher as if they are writing a article, a scientific article, or as if they are writing a project application. So, these 3 pillars, they require really a lot of investment and a lot of work in the search, but in also in knowing how to frame and phrase everything in order for the intellectual property right offices to assess it. On the other hand, what my insights is currently is that patenting is expensive, and not everything should be patented just because of having a patent, although we increase the innovation indicators for the country because of that. But on the other hand, if you are going to patent something just to have it, you are approaching the so-called valley of death. This means that you're just paying for the fees and doing nothing with it, not commercializing it. Sometimes it's better to look for commercialization even without patent. This is also something that my experience now says. And in terms of knowledge, we were lucky to have these professors from law and also her teaching assistant who has passed the exam to be the IPR representative and who helps us. But if we didn't have them, it's a question what could have been done in terms of knowledge. We would need to pay somebody externally, probably, or to ask somebody externally for the assistance and guidance. It's a good thing, on the other hand, that people working at the institute are very open in terms of collaboration, and also they're very helpful.
Yes. Okay, thanks, Maya. I am now reverting to the colleagues. Do you have any reflections, any experience to share with us? I don't see actually many of us here, except colleagues from Kosovo. Here from, again, the same institution, University of Banja Luka. Mirion is here. So maybe we can hear something from Kosovo, from Albania on this IPR issue. Is there any institution in your economies which is dealing with the IPR?
Well, maybe while we're waiting for them to get ready, I will share that in Austria we have actually an IP NCP. I think this is a quite nice institution to have, like one national contact point that will give you some sample contracts or some expertise or know people who have expertise. And they have also mapped different ways of getting trained on IP issues, mainly in Austria, but also internationally. And I think these kind of go-to pages are also very, very interesting and could probably be established in some of these institutions that, or some of these offices of the university, that you have like one go-to person. I put the link in the chat, so maybe that is one addition while the others are.
Yes, definitely, yes.
Yeah, I know for Kosovo there is a law on, if I'm not mistaken, on authors' rights, and also there's an agency that deals with industrial intellectual rights or industrial intellectual property or whatever. It's hard to translate from Albanian to English directly, but yeah, I mean it's some sort of regulated. Although the law is quite old, it's of 2011, and so this is as far as I know in terms of how intellectual property is regulated in Kosovo. I've had an experience in the past where I had to, and this is like maybe 15 years ago, just maybe under 15 years ago, when I was about to register a brand name, a kind of like intellectual rights of a name, of a brand name, and the process was quite time consuming, but maybe that was because it was in the early stage of the process, and then now I haven't actually experienced this lately, so I don't know how the process goes.
Thank you, Bujar. What I noticed by doing some researching of innovation activities among Serbian SMEs, for example, first of all, there is some increasing trend of protecting intellectual property rights, but mostly trademarks. When I was in position to interview ICT companies about softwares, they told me that this is not, let's say, issue with that, for them, because they do softwares for the clients which are tailor-made, and it's not easy to be copied, because it's really targeting the specific need of the client. But now, after this conference I mentioned about IPR in artificial intelligence, I would say that comparing to that field of software development, the field of artificial intelligence asks for more need in IPR than in softwares. That's my personal insight, but I would like sometime to have a chance to speak with the engineers about that. Maybe in some new research, but I think it's interesting also from the research point of view, and of course it's good for the lawyers, because they would have more job in protecting these specific solutions in AI. But yeah, it's definitely the area which is emerging again, or having a new life with these new technologies, and definitely it is a subject of capacity building, because it is developing very fast, and also for the researchers, but for the industry as well. So if anyone would like to add anything else on this topic. Yeah, if not, I know that other colleagues haven't had in their capacity building program this issue. Neither do we have, but as I said, I think it's worth of now of including that in the potentially new round of the project, or any other project. So this is definitely a very up-to-date topic, and probably in other economies it will also become let's say trendy or popular or needed to be included. Okay, if not, if we do not have any other reflections and any other experience to be shared, I would like to thank all of you, although few of us, but still I think it's good that we exchange, and that we could draft some probably future steps in this area, because this is of course a very important part of the innovation policy. Many thanks to all of you, and see you peer learning webinars on 18 and 19 of June with Reinvest and Nasri after that. Bye bye.